Peace and blessings, Mishpachah. Yes, happy to be here. This is Melchior Uriel, and yes, this is, of course, Yom Ravi'i, the fourth day. Of course, those on this particular society call it Woodensday or Wednesday. And so we know that each day of this week and the Julian calendar as well as the Gregorian calendar, they are filled with other gods and other quote-unquote Elohim. And so we say, according to the Hebrew scriptures, we call it what the Most High called it. We call it Yom Ravi. We call it the fourth day. And so with that being the case, hey, blessed fourth day to you. Some people call this hump day, whatever you call it. We're glad to be here. We're delighted to be here. We're going to be talking today about, let's talk about some Christian challenges. And let's just talk about the general concept, or I should say even the necessity for us to test what it is that we believe in. Let's talk about testing what it is that we believe in and what gives us the logical right to think certain things, especially when it comes to religion, especially when it comes to so-called truth. We'll be right back.
Melchior Uriel. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant.
Yes, we give praise unto the Most High. We honor the Most High in all things. And we thank you, O Most High, for bringing us to this day, Yom Ravi. We thank you for bringing us to the fourth day. We take every step with you. We say before you that we are in step and in tune with your will. We find ourselves accomplishing your plans, and we find ourselves fulfilling your purposes, and we stand in your will. We honor you, for you are our strength, you are our righteousness, and we await your mighty hand. We look for your hand every day in our life, in our situations, making us better, helping our brothers and our sisters, uniting our family together, and giving unto us more and increased knowledge and working out your will. We honor you in this, Yahuwah. In your name and in your name alone, we say Aman wa Aman. We're glad to be here. I'm so glad to see those of you that are here. Definitely glad to see you. Glad to see you, each and every one of you, those of you that are here. Let's get some shout outs. Who turned the lights on? Yeah, my brother from another mother, none other than my brother Bergen Paris. Peace and blessings to you, to my day one. I tell you, if I ever get rich, I gotta bless my brother, I tell you. Also, Josh and Penny, love you as well. Love you guys. And glad that you guys are here. Glad that you guys are a member of my family. Glad that you guys are with us. And also, y'all, my sister is up in here. Yes, none other than Jacqueline E. Bugs herself. Peace and blessings to you, my sister. Glad that you are here. And I just want to say, hey, it's always good to have sharp minds around when you are in deep discussion, especially concerning spiritual things. So I'm so glad that we've got a nice little crew here. We know that there are many others that watch us without actually coming into the chat room, and as well we also have others. We have more people watching than we do in the chat room, and so we are gonna just go ahead. We're gonna move right along. And I know some have been mentioning that they have not been getting notifications. And I just simply want to say sometimes, listen, sometimes YouTube has even gone as far as to unsubscribe people from our channel. Hey, we don't know why they're doing this. Well, we kind of know why they're doing this that way, but hey, we don't like the fact that they're doing this that way. But we will continue to move on. So every now and then, make sure that you check your subscription. And by the way, for those of you that are watching and you have not yet subscribed, I'm asking you right now to subscribe and to hit the like button and even to share what we're doing here tonight. You help us to stay out of YouTube jail, out of YouTube timeout, and so we thank you for that. What we're going to do is, I want to ask you a question. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to tiptoe around some certain issues, and other issues we're going to punch straight in the face. So with that being the case, let's go into the scriptures and let's begin to dig in, if you will, and let's just kind of deal with some things as we have time. Now, I'm going to be very respectful of your time. I'm not going to take all night, though these are subjects that I love to talk about, and I love spending time with my family. So, you know, hey, this could easily be drawn out, but hey, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it, but we are going to respect your time. And I want to, there's a couple of things that I want to address. And I just, there's some things that I want to say. There's some things that I want to address, but overall, we're asking a question. Now, listen, let me put it to you this way. We're asking a question not just to Christians, but we're asking a question also to ourselves. And the question is this: by what legal and logical right do we have to think or to believe one thing or another? Okay? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we as human beings, we are unique in our makeup, in the sense that we actually are created to bring things from the supernatural realm into the natural realm, and we do have that ability. We have that ability to embrace something mentally, psychologically, even psycho-spiritually, and we have the ability to bring that into our reality. Well, what is ground zero? The ground zero for such an activity is what you conceive to be true. Let me say that again. Ground zero is what you conceive, or might I even say perceive, to be true. We have to start there, and we have to start with our inner makeup. We have to start with our own individual paradigms and our own individual belief systems. And there are things that we need to address, and there's things that we need to correct. So, not just for the Christian, but also for the Hebrew, because now you know as well as I do that even though we're not a camp, we've seen some of these camps, and they teach some things that are literally out of this world. But hey, let's do this. Let me take you here first, and let me lay the foundation for why we need to really kind of like check ourselves, right? Let's do this. Let's go here. I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 4 and 9. Deuteronomy 4 and 9. Here we go. We're going in. Get your waders on, because it's about to get deep here. Okay, gonna dive into the deep here. You know, usually people say waders when you're talking about being deep in something else, but that's not what we're talking about. We are going to actually read this verse of scripture, and notice what it reads. It begins by saying, "Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently." Now let's just stop right there and let's focus on that. Let's focus on those two beginning clauses, and let's just pay attention. What is being addressed here is our ability to be aware, if you will, of the state of our being. I'll never forget, it must have been in the late 90s when I was putting together computers, and I recognized, after putting the motherboard in, and after putting in the DOS, and after putting in, I began to notice something, that computers, they impressed me for a particular reason. One was that they had the ability, I saw them develop the ability to be able to diagnose themselves, to be able to check themselves. I'll never forget the summer when I realized that computers now begin to check themselves and begin to be somewhat aware of their own state and of their own being. Looking then at that, now of course we understand what AI is now, artificial intelligence, but that's not really the focus of this conversation. The focus of this conversation is the ability for someone to take their cognitive skills, if you will, and to, rather than look outwardly and point the finger at other individuals, it's actually best used, or I should say, it should be used first and foremost at us being able to take a look at ourselves and becoming very good, astute, and accurate with being able to perceive and become aware of what our present condition is, so that we can, remain in a state of awareness and be self-correcting. Okay, that is what this is all about. I used to, back in the day, back in the mid 80s and back in the early 90s, whenever I taught in different settings, different religious settings, different churches and different groups, I would always ask them to imagine if they had a car. Imagine if they had a car and you look down at the gas gauge and you say to yourself, man, I'm just about on E. I need to get some gas. And the moment you acknowledge that, the car filled itself with gas. Or let's say you notice something like, man, there's too much smoke. Man, my car is burning oil. There must be something wrong with my engine. And immediately, once you said that, guess what? The car renewed its engine and it repaired itself. And then I asked the question, what would you do if someone offered you to just have a different car? You have to give that car away. Would you give that car away? Would you willingly just walk away from that car? No, you would not. What would you pay for a car like that? Well, needless to say, it would be valuable, wouldn't it? It would be valuable. If you had a car like that, it could fix itself, it could keep itself, modern and relevant, and it could correct itself, it repairs itself, it keeps itself looking good. You would never walk away from that car, right? If you said, you know what, man, this car needs to be, whatever your favorite color is, boom. You step outside the car and there it is. It's that color. Well, yeah, this is, of course, a very valuable car. And you would not want to give that car away. I'm saying this to say that to the individual that will mind themselves, take heed unto themselves, they are to the Most High and to the family, they are just as valuable as that car. They are, if you will allow me to say it, they are a human rendition of that car. That being the case, my seat keep having to adjust my seat. You would then consider yourself to be very, if you had a car like that, you consider yourself to be very fortunate. So therefore, members of the Hebrew family who embrace the ability to be self-conscious and aware of their present state, and they will point the fingers at others very reluctantly, but they're quick to address themselves, they're quick to look at themselves, they're quick to question why it is that they think what they think or why they're doing what they're doing. It is these individuals that are valuable to the kingdom of the Most High. These individuals are valuable to the formation and the growth and the maturation of the family. Hey, you're very important. That being the case, then if we develop the skill, the more we develop the skill, I should say, we then become more valuable. So let's read it again. Notice what it reads here in Deuteronomy 4:9. Only take heed to yourself. Might I say, get out of other people's business, right? Only take heed to yourself, and you keep your soul diligently. Now, let's park there for a minute, because we see that it's suggesting that we keep our souls diligently. What is that about, and why would we need to keep our souls diligently? Well, I'm going to say something that may be controversial to some of you, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. We have been led to believe, because of the Catholic, I should say the superimposed Catholic doctrine of the Trinity, that we as individuals, that we are also a Trinity. I remember being in church and I remember being in a particular congregation and mentioning that we were bipart, meaning that there were two parts to us, going back to the creation of mankind at the beginning of Bereshit, chapter 1, also chapter 2. I began to note that, hey, we are really two parts. We have a physical body, and then we have a spirit. And so that we call soul is actually an overlap between the two. Now, let me just give you a quick understanding. If we were to take a look at ourselves and understand by means of the paradigm and template that's given to us in Genesis 1 and 26, 27, okay, 25 really deals with the function and deals with, what we're given to do by means of purpose, because everything that the Most High barad, if you'll allow me to say that, he infused with purpose. And so our purpose is given to us before our creation. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? Well, be that as it may, if you take a look and you understand, using, again, that as a template, there was ultimately we could say that the spiritual source, our spiritual source, was the first thing that was there, because our spiritual source actually created the earth and the heavens, right? Well, then came the clay, and then came the fusing of the two together. Now, with the fusing of these two together, what happened was, I wish I could show you a Venn diagram. I used to have one. I don't think I have one present and ready, but let me just simply say this. It's like overlap, okay? Imagine, if you will, now I'm going to have to paint a picture and hope that you can paint a picture in your own mind. Imagine that you have a yellow circle, right? You have a yellow circle, and there's also on the other side of the screen, there is a blue circle. Yeah, there's a blue circle. On the other side, there's a yellow circle. Let's just say, for the sake of this example, for the sake of this analogy, that the yellow circle is spirituality and the blue circle represents all of our physicality, right? Well, when the Most High breathed into us his spirit, aka the breath of life, we then became a living, functioning, animate individual, okay? Meaning that we became an indivisible duality, okay? And that's where me speaking these things in a given church was disagreed with by the pastor, because I said that we were an indivisible duality. And again, I pointed to Genesis 1 in that, yes, there were two things there. There was the clay of earth, and there was the spirit of the Most High. And so we are an individual. We have two things that make us up as human beings. And so it is the overlap, if you will, that we call soul. So now, to give you a visual of this, I'm going to have to paint a picture in your mind. You have the yellow circle, which is spirituality. You have the blue circle, which is everything that's physical about you. Okay? And you have something, if you don't mind me saying it, you have an overlap. The Most High, he breathed into that lump of clay, right? The breath of life. And when he did that, the one circle, though not completely, they overlapped each other. Now, there's parts of you that are physical that have nothing to do with spirituality. And to give you this example, I always point to your fingernails. I always point to that portion of your body. You can cut it and it won't hurt. It has no feelings. It has nothing to do with your spirituality at all, right? It is completely physical. And so that is something that would be on that blue part of the circle that's not touched by the yellow. It's blue, it's completely physical, and it has nothing to do with spirituality, but yet it's a part of your body. Now, equally, if you go to the other side, there's going to be things in the yellow circle that's untouched by the blue. And those things that are untouched by the blue is going to be things about your spirit that have nothing to do with your body, with your physical body and your physical existence. Well, understanding that, then we understand that we are in overlap. And so what we call soul is actually a union of the two and not a separate entity that would bring about the idea of a Trinity. Okay? It's because of that false doctrine brought by the Catholic Church and brought in by syncretism through other pagan religions that we find people demand, oh no, we got a spirit, a soul, and a body. And they want to say that there are three individuals there, three personalities within us, besides Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Well, that's the way that they taught us in the church. That's what they said. And so we kind of flowed with it. Well, when I brought this up, and there was a disagreement by the pastor, I stuck to my guns, right? I stuck to my guns because I knew what the scripture said, and I knew that we were in overlap. We were not a trinity, we were in overlap. Well, when it mentions here that we are to keep our souls diligently, keep doesn't mean like if somebody asks me for it, I'm just not going to give it to them. I'm going to have my own soul. Well, I mean, of course you're going to have your own soul, right? To keep means to guard in this particular case. In this case, the word keep means to guard. And as we guard, if you will, this word is shamar in Hebrew. It means to guard, it means to keep, it means to maintain the integrity of. It also means to protect, right? It means to protect. Well, with that being the case, when we go into this passage of scripture, let's look at it for what it says. It says, look, first of all, you need to take heed. You need to take heed unto yourself. Okay? And we're going to pinpoint and we're going to actually hit ground zero, which is your own soul, which is where your level of spirituality intersects and overlaps your physical life and existence. And you need to be diligent about keeping this area pure, keeping this area clean. Well, now, one thing about this soulish area, and let me hit this for a second. Many people do not understand that for many of the faculties that we have within us, there are parenting organs in the body. Okay? Let me give you this for an example. Excuse me. Back in the day, they regarded emotions as actually being attached or a part of or a function of certain organs in your body, like your kidneys and your liver and so forth and so on. Well, there is, however, we can say that that's not so, or it's controversial, or we need proof for this or that. One thing that we can definitely say is that the mind is not the brain, but that the brain is the organ of the mind. Okay? The brain is the organ of the mind. Now, you're going to find out that, listen, I'm really going somewhere with all of the teachings that I give you, everything that we discuss. You're going to find out that I'm really going somewhere with this, and so I'm building and I'm preparing and I'm giving you introductions, even as we discuss things like this, okay? So as you keep your soul, you're really talking about guarding, if you will, those things that are psycho-spiritual, as I like to call them. Well, let's just stop here for a minute, because I did say psycho-spiritual. What am I talking about? I'm talking about going across that physical bridge, looking at the brain, and then understanding that the brain is the organ that connects to the ethereal mind of the individual. Okay? So, oh man, and I would love to get into this far deeper, but this is not the topic of our discussion tonight. When you keep your soul, you are watching over the spiritual influences and the spiritual deposits, okay, aka the psycho-spiritual deposits and functions that are in the brain, but that also color the thoughts and beliefs of the mind. Okay, I know I just said a lot right there, but when you talk about keeping your soul diligently, you're talking about, in a nutshell, you're talking about something that I have termed for decades as thought management. Okay? Thought management. The way that the human mind works is that you hear it said that nature abhors a vacuum. Well, that is very true. Nature does abhor a vacuum. And so the mind, it cannot be quote unquote truly empty. You can't just get rid of one thought, right? Unless you have some kind of technical apparatus and you interfere with the mind's normal function by means of the brain. Yeah, there's a bunch of things that you can do, right? However, when you take a look at the human mind, the thought processes that goes on in your mind, it doesn't like a vacuum. You don't get rid of one thought. You have to replace it with another. Now, we see this paradigm being taught to us, this paradigm being shown to us in a number of different scriptures, right? Which is why the Most High said, you know what, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and I want you to tear down all of their idols. I want you to take away the visual reference. I want you to take away the visual influence. I want you to take away the aesthetics of worshiping another being. I want you to get rid of that. But guess what you're going to do instead, right? You're going to institute our way. You're going to institute our walk. You're going to institute the truth. But you're going to get rid of the old. You're going to get rid of that is not true. And then you're going to present that is true. Okay? And I know that there are some who would say, hey, well, you're really talking relativity about what's true and it might be true to you, but not to someone else. Well, please keep in mind that we're talking about the creator of the heaven and earth saying that, hey, that this is true. And so I want you to share my truth with all of humanity. I want you to share my truth with mankind. And by the way, I want you to live my truth and demonstrate my truth. Well, that is, of course, what we're talking about. Well, since we're talking about that, as we embrace thought management, man, I can see now I'm running out of time already. As we embrace thought management, we need to ask ourselves certain questions. Why am I thinking this way? By what logical right do I have to think that such a thing is true? What's going on here? Why am I thinking this way, right? So that's a part of thought management. It's a part of keeping your soul diligently, right? And to prove to you that this is really about thought management, it is expressed even in the next clause that we would read in verse 9, right? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget. See, thought management. You need to manage what it is that you're thinking. And this highlights whether or not you even have the correct thing in your mind or not, but it's still a subset of the entire focus of thought management. You have to be able to manage your thoughts, and your mind does not like a vacuum. You have to have the correct thought in place of the wrong thought, okay? How do you know if something is the wrong thought? How do you know? I'll just share this with you, okay? I know you didn't ask for this, but I'm going to share this. The way that you know that you have the wrong thought or the right thought is basically, you have to check your emotions. Well, what do you mean check your emotions? Your feelings, yes, your and my feelings, are simply a byproduct, okay? They're a byproduct of what you have already decided what was true, okay? You make a decision in your mind that something is true about you, and you immediately will have an emotional reaction to it. That's what your emotions are. They are the energetic waves rippling throughout your inner reality as you said that something is true or something is not true. That is where your emotions come from. Many people look at emotions as, and listen, I know I'm getting so much psychological here, and I understand, right? But I want to show you where these things connect. Because as we ask ourselves the question, why is it that we're thinking a certain thing? Why is it that we think that this is logical, right? Well, by what logical right do we have to even think a certain thing? When you begin to ask yourself those questions, you are like the computer that is, or even the car that is aware of itself and that is about to make a correction to itself. And again, you increase in value. So how do we do that? Well, I want to let's just, again, I'm going to say, let's play make-believe like my rabbi buddy, Tovia Singer. Let's play make-believe. And let's just go back for a moment and even remember. If you are a Christian, okay, or whatever religion you were brought up in, think about your beginnings in that religion. Now, for me, they told us, hey, you need to start with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, many times they start you out with John, right? And you start out with John 1 and 1. Okay, so let's do this, if you will. Let's just, again, look at the mental landscape, if you will, of what happens when you begin with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Take a look. Let's start with Matthew. What is the first thing that you read as you read the beginning verse of the book of Matthew? The book of the generation of JC. There is no mention in the first verse. There's no mention of the Most High. There's no mention of him at all whatsoever, but it is about this individual. It's about JC, right? And this is the book about his generation, and it's not about the Most High at all. Now, let's just do a very quick comparative analysis. You know what Genesis 1 and 1 says, for it reads, in the beginning, God. In the beginning, Elohim, right? So, again, we see a difference in focus. We see a difference in focus. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Well, what would happen even if, for those of you that would say, well, you know what, Genesis 2 came before. It came before Genesis 1. Well, what do you have there? Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. Now, this was not the beginning. Oh my goodness, you see that? Sometimes my cursor goes bonkers. If we were to go back to chapter 2, okay, you see the beginning of this is, it is a clause that's meant to connect, right? And so we actually have the beginning of chapter 2 at verse number 4. But notice, if that's so, what? You got Yah Elohim there, okay? If you look at this, it mentions Elohim right here in the second verse. It mentions Elohim in the third verse. It mentions Elohim in the fourth verse. It mentions Elohim in the fifth and sixth. And so it goes on and on. So what then do you see? You see right now that there is a disproportionate amount of times that the Most High is excluded in the book of Matthew and in the Gospels themselves. So then, okay, let's ask ourselves the question. Even if we go to the book of Mark here, in the beginning of the Gospel of who? Of JC. And the only time that they mention Elohim, the only time that they mention Yah is parenthetical, and that, well, you see, JC, he is the son of the Most High, or the Son of God, as the Gospels would have us to believe. But you find this, okay, and let's go to Luke. And this, again, it reads here, for as many as have taken in hand to set in order a declaration of those things, Elohim is not anywhere. Okay, you don't see him anywhere. Okay, you know, for the for those of you who are in certain camps, you would insist that the very name here, Theophilus, is a mention of the Most High. Well, I would disagree with that wholeheartedly. Just because it says Theophilus, right? Hey, a lover of God. I'm not going to say that because Theo is here that we're talking about the Most High, and yeah, that's a mention of the name of the Most High. No, it's not. Okay, it's parenthetical. At best, it's parenthetical. So I'm not going to say that. But however, notice one of the passages that has a great deal of influence in the Christian church is John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is even put before the Most High. In this, once again, the Most High becomes parenthetical in that basically it's like, well, he's just a side note, okay? He's a side note, and yeah, what you're really talking about here is the Word, and you're really talking about JC. That's really what they're trying to get you to. And so you ask yourself the question, why is it then that many Christians seemingly have an inability to understand that the Most High comes first, and His Word is eternal, and His Word does not change. His Word is everlasting, and His Word is true. It's no wonder that they have an issue, that they have a problem. It's because the Most High has always had a back seat. He's always taken a back seat to JC, right? And so at most, the Most High is parenthetical. He's in the peripheral. He's not the main focus. Everything is about JC, right? So if we were to take a look here and actually dig further into this, there would be no reason for us to doubt that an individual with this makeup, now again, keep in mind, they're starting out with this. Keep in mind, you've got a person who has a desire to, get closer to the Most High. They want to get closer to God. They want to make sure that they live right so they can go to heaven. And even though heaven was never the goal, right? An earthly paradise was the goal. A heavenly earthly paradise was the goal, but not heaven itself. Okay? But the Most High is parenthetical. All of that is just, by the side. That's not what it's about. It's really about JC. This is the New Testament. And you will find, I was watching a debate the other day, and the guy said, see, we don't need the Old Testament. We have the New Testament. We the New Testament church. And it's just simply they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So then what legal right would a person have? Let me go back here. I'm asking this question. Matthew, from the book of Matthew, verse 1, the book of the generation of JC, by what legal right do we have, first of all, to start in the middle / let's say the back of the book, okay? What legal right would we have to start this book that they call the Bible? Why would we start it in the middle or the back? Why would we? Show me how that's logical. Show me how you would do that with any other book. Okay? Show me how that makes sense. It doesn't. So then there's no way that a person can justify starting at the book of Matthew, right? There's no way that a person can justify starting at the book of John or starting at the book of Mark or starting at the book of Luke. You really would have to start at the beginning, wouldn't you? Again, they don't treat any other book this way, right? They're in school, the teacher, the instructor is going to start them out at or near the beginning of the book. Not the back, but the beginning. Try to do this with anything else. Watch a movie and just watch it from the 3/4 point, when it's 3/4 of the way over. Watch it and see if you understand what's going on. You don't. So then, again, by what legal right would we have to start reading here? And we could also ask, by what legal right would you understand this to be scripture? Right? We could go there as well. But when you really think about it, yeah, there is an issue when we think about, why are we thinking what we're thinking? Why do we think it's okay to start at Matthew, to start at Mark, to start at Luke, or to start at John? Why do we think it's okay? And then to only visit the Tanakh parenthetically when it's, the earth was created. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created it. Oh, but let's get back to Matthew. Let's get back to Ephesians. Yeah, that is what is done. More time is spent. In fact, in this debate that I watched, I told you that I watched a debate. Listen, Reverend Fatback quoted Paul. If I had $1 for every time he said Paul this, Paul that, Paul said, Paul mentioned, Paul taught, Paul, you see, what Paul really, and he was just talking Paul. I wanted to ask myself, is he a Paulian or is he a Christian? And if he is a Christian, again, here we go. By what legal right would you have to divorce yourself from what Jesus did, right? You call yourself a Christian. Why are you divorcing yourself from what he did and taking up a completely different way that he didn't practice? Why? Show me where, after Yeshua ben Yosef, called Jesus by the Greeks and the pagans, show me where he, after the cross, ate a ham sandwich. Show me where he got a chitlin smoothie. Show me where he said, you know what, man, I need some breakfast. Go on and fry me up some bacon because I'm off the cross now. And it's all legal. Show me where he did that. Show me where he did that. Okay? Show me where he said, y'all going fishing. Man, bring me up some crab legs and some shrimp. Woo! I'm off the cross right now. Yeah, give me some, extra butter. Okay? And throw some of that Old Bay in the butter and make it real good. Well, that didn't happen, right? Yeshua ben Yosef, even by the New Testament, the Christian New Testament standards, even he didn't get up off the cross eating ham sandwiches. So why, again, through what legal right do we say that these things are okay? Listen, I want to get into some more scripture, but I'm going to stop right here. Again, I'm trying to respect your time, and I really needed more time to share more scriptures, but hey, I'm going to respect your time, and let's do this. I'm going to open it up for questions, and in just a moment, I want to not only open it up for questions, but I want to, if you don't mind, I'm going to open it up for questions, make sure that the phone line is open. But before we do, we're going to do a station ID. That is exactly what we're going to do here in just a second. I'm asking those of you that are willing or you want to ask a question, be ready once I return. And then if not, then we will go ahead and let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Be right back. Hi, I'm Melchior Uriel, and I want to come to your church or to sit down with you, Pastor, and have a build where we open up scriptures and discuss the realities behind the Hebrew way of life and following the laws. Please call the number below, and if unanswered, please leave a message. Thank you. Shalom. Hi, I'm Melchior Uriel, and I'm so delighted to meet you. I'm glad that you stopped by. I'm glad that you're curious, and I'm glad that you clicked on the video. Now is the time that we can ask our questions. Ask your questions or even state a comment, and hey, we will address it. And the phone line is now open, and so you can call if you so desire. You can call if you so desire, all right? So here we are. We are back with you, and we are ready to take your questions. Let me tiptoe into the chat room. And, well, yeah, let's see. I said scrimps also. I knew someone that used to really call them scrimps. Okay, taking a look. If you have any questions, please, by all means, address it to me, right? All right, so, all right, I don't see any questions. All right, looking at some of your comments. You're right, Josh. No one reads a book starting in the middle or the back, right? All right. I'm looking at some of your comments, and I want to say, some of them are funny. Yes. Okay, you know what? I do not see any questions or any comments that are addressed to me, and so hey, that's good. That can be a very good thing. I want to say that I have been. Let me say this just before we enjoy the rest of our evening. I have been getting into. In fact, I've been studying something for quite a while. I've been studying, and I have actually been developing a paradigm, if you will, one that I'm going to share, one that's going to be lengthy, and one that is going to, one that is actually going to take us further into a number of different things that'll help us to live and to walk out the law, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High with purpose and with power. Those are the two things that I want to infuse. I want you to hear it. Living out the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. Living it out in power and in purpose. Okay? And I dare say also, too, with a level of precision. I'm developing some curriculum right now. I'm going to be sharing it with you. And listen, let me tell you this. I believe that just as we have the ability to very consciously, very effectively get up from where we are, walk across the room, and put our hand on a door and open up a door and walk out and go anywhere we want to, or put keys in our car and start it and go wherever we want to go. I believe that we should be able to do the same thing spiritually, and we should be able to, specifically, purposefully, and very powerfully be able to navigate in the realms of the spirit just as we do here in the natural. I'm talking about a balance. I'm talking about bringing a divine balance to this physical realm, and also bringing a physical balance to the spiritual realm, and in that making them basically complements. Well, they're already complements of one another, but making them to be one, so that we are a living example of what the Most High always wanted, which is a holy, physical, very spiritual and physical existence. So expect that in the very near future. It's something that I am working on. And so with that being the case, since there aren't any other questions or concerns, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to let you enjoy the rest of your Yom Ravi'i. We're going to let you enjoy that. So peace and blessings to you, my brothers and my sisters. I want to say thank you once again for giving me those two precious gifts, your time and your attention. And I want to thank you. And hey, Most High willing, we will see you for Shabbat morning coffee. We're going to take this and other things a step further. So peace and blessings to you. And by the way, I'm going to be looking at my email for your suggestions and topics that you want to cover. Go ahead and email me if you wish. We'll talk with you soon. Peace and blessings to you, my brothers and sisters. Shalom.